Okay. So, my portfolio project touched on some very controversial issues regarding patients' rights of autonomy and their religious freedom versus what is ethically okay regarding refusal of treatment. I specifically touched on the idea of parents refusing consent for life-saving treatment for their children, as well as people refusing life-saving treatment who are responsible for other dependents. Specifically, this one woman was responsible for her disabled son, and if she was to deny a blood transfusion because she was a Jehovah Witness, she could end up being permanently disabled, and this child would no longer have a caretaker. Um, so in both situations, the hospitals and their ethical board decide to go to the law and go to court to get mandatory custody temporary of the child so that they could order the blood transfusion, and the court approved it. And then in the case of the woman, due to various situations and her family members stating they wanted the blood transfusion done, the hospital also gave the blood transfusion to the woman. Now, I picked this as a very important topic because, well, it is important for healthcare providers to understand their patients' culture, understand their beliefs, and do everything that they possibly can to cooperate with them, come up with alternative measures, and make them fully educated on what could happen if they do refuse this treatment. It is also up to the healthcare workers to make sure that, especially in cases of minors, that their best interest is what is most precedent. Because if you have a parent who may be a Jehovah Witness or some other religion that doesn't believe in blood transfusions, and they refuse a blood transfusion for a 6-year-old per se, that 6-year-old could lose their life, and that 6-year-old might have never grown up to be a Jehovah Witness, and you just took that life from that child. So for me, this was definitely something that I wanted to touch upon because it's something that I think happens more than people think in the healthcare system. Um, Also because it definitely touches upon culture and religion and how there are ways to go about it um, before having to reach that level of going to the law, and there are ways to get around it. There are alternative measures, alternative care, and it's really about just working with your healthcare provider, working with the patient, and doing the best to have that communication, that trust, and that transparency of what the treatments are going to be, what the options are, and what the consequences are. And I think that's something that really is going to apply to me in the future, because I do plan on becoming a nurse practitioner someday, and that's something that I feel as though I'm probably going to be working with a lot. Um, Especially because I hope to work in an emergency room setting, and there's always so many different cultures and so many different kinds of people coming into a healthcare setting like that, that it's something that I think all healthcare providers also need to be educated on. I think mandatory religious training and cultural awareness is definitely something that needs to be more in depth and brought into our healthcare culture itself. Um, and as far as this paper goes, I think that it really helped me to um, kind of advance my writing techniques. I've always had a very basic plan for how I write my papers. I always do an outline, do a rough draft, edit it, and then that edited rough draft is what I would turn in for my original rough draft. And then, of course, revise it, and then my final. However, with this one, I had to do a lot more research, citations, and just kind of picking and redistributing where things went because there was just so much that could be said about this topic. I definitely had to learn how to condense and how to just hit those main points, which is something that I've struggled with before, and this project definitely helped me to progress in that.